If you guys can't tell, I'm a little sunburnt and I spent a lot of time under the sun with my family today playing some golf. And that's what the current Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ have done as well. The current 86 and BRZ have spent 8 years under the sun, and it's time to retire the venerable coupes. And in today's video, I will uncover all the incredible details, renderings, rumors, of the upcoming 2021 Toyota 86 and Subaru BRZ. And yes, it will have a bigger engine. Welcome back to the channel, Luxurious Fleet. My name is Kirk if you're new here to the channel. I cover everything Japanese autos, so make sure to hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos about the amazing 86 and BRZ. Over at Best Car, it's a Japanese website well known for specializing in auto news and rumors. It's just given us a ton of information about the new BRZ and 86, so let's jump into it. Complete design of the next 86, full model change in March of 2021. Now, March of 2021, that's probably for Japan. All right, looking at the first render here of the upcoming 86, you can see the headlights look very similar to the current generation of Supra with these square LED headlights here. These daytime running lights will look very attractive. The grille is of course going to be a little bit more pronounced as Toyota has been moving that way in the most recent years. Next image, now those headlights that looked kind of blocky in the last image, now that we have a side profile or at least an angle here, we can see how actually elongated those headlights really are. You can see fog lights loaded in here. These wheels are absolutely enormous and they look like the wheels carried over from the Toyota concept just a few years back at the Tokyo Motor Show. Looking at it from the side, it looks a lot like, let's say, a Lexus RCF. You have these huge inserts here, which remind me a little bit of like a Mustang, let's say a GT350, but of course more tied to the family of this vehicle is a Lexus RCF or the GSF with these large gills, these extra body panels here on the side to accentuate its sportiness. Hey guys, if you want to see more videos on the 86 and BRZ, make sure to smash the like button. That'll let me know so I can make more content for you. To me, everything from this general area looks very, very similar to the current BRZ and 86. Now, looking at the back end here, you can see how much this ducktail end shares with the current modern day Supra, the Supra Mark V. And these taillights, when I first saw them, two things came to mind. A little bit like an older Acura TL, and they also look like the legendary Nissan 300ZX in some ways. I think they look very attractive. They look a little bit more modern, at the same time a little bit more retro than the current taillights. They do look more premium, there's no doubt about it. Of course, you have another look here, and this is the vision of it that made me think a little bit more of that Acura TL. And then the interior here, a little bit of two-tone. It looks so similar to the current interior. I don't think they're going to change a whole lot about that interior. Of course, make it a little bit more modern, give it, you know, all models now, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and EyeSight, which I'll talk about a little bit in a second. BRZ will stop accepting orders in July of 2020. On the other hand, Toyota has not revealed the trends related to the 86, but on March 12th of 2020, it announced a Black Limited, which is limited, of course, to 86 units. This model is reminiscent of the final special model Black Limited of the 86 Type Trueno, which is considered to be the de facto final edition, which obviously you guys see a Trueno here, but it won't look quite as retro as this, of course. And here we go. The release of the new 86 and BRZ is scheduled for March 2021. When are we likely to see this in the United States? Well, based off the dealer leak that we got that has proven time and time again to be pretty dang accurate, we expect to see it probably the summer of 2021, which is just about a year from now. So that's really, really exciting. What's also exciting is all the additional information that we got from this article, which I broke down into a Google spreadsheet. We're not going to touch too much on these dimensions, which are roughly identical to from second generation to first generation. The second generation seems to be a tad bit wider and longer and lower in some ways, but it's really pretty much identical to the first generation vehicle. Now looking at the weight here, of course we don't know the weight of the upcoming model, but the current model at 2,800 pounds is pretty light, and that's great. What I would love to see is a continuation of that lightweight philosophy. 2,800 pounds on the new car would be amazing, even though they're going to be adding some things to it. Let's keep going. Platform. Now this is kind of up in the air. So we could see either the Subaru Global platform or a TNGA platform. Now the current BRZ and 86 is more of a Subaru than it is a Toyota. It is manufactured in Subaru plants. Subaru is moving all of their vehicles to the Subaru Global architecture and platform, the SGP. The problem is there's really no rear-wheel drive dedicated platform within the SGP. However, in the TNGA platform, Toyota's new global architecture, they have several rear-wheel drive platforms that could be shared with the LC500, the LS500, maybe the next IS. It's really hard to say at this point how Toyota and Subaru are going to carry on with the next vehicle. I almost think that they're just going to slightly modify the current platform because it is pretty darn good. It's lightweight. Yes, they would like to make it safer with the Subaru Global platform, but I think they're just going to make it safer by adding some of those sophisticated technologies like eyesight. Suspension is going to be the exact same, or at least in paper the exact same. We're going to have McPherson struts in the front and double wishbone suspension in the rear. Now the engine, this is where it gets a lot of fun for us. So 2.4 liter FA24 Boxer 4 is going to replace the FA20, which is just a 2 liter Boxer 4. And a lot of people, ever since this vehicle has come out in 2012, have asked for just a little bit more power. And looking at the power numbers here, the original BRZ, or the current BRZ and 86, has 204 horsepower. And if we look at the 217 that it's expected to get from the 0.4 increase in displacement, that's going to result in a 6.4% increase in horsepower alone. Now the torque goes from 156 pound-feet to 177 pound-feet, which is 13.5% increase in pound-feet of torque. And not only that, this torque is supposed to come much lower on in the rev range. So it's much more usable torque, and you're going to feel a lot more when you're accelerating as well. Base price, we have no idea. We know the base price of the current model is $27,060. If they increase it $1,000 to $28,060, I think that could still work, even though this is a very much niche product. I think it could work, and they just need to make sure it's priced well enough to go against the likes of the amazing Mazda MX-5 Miata. Some new additions here. I guarantee we're going to see eyesight. What makes me interested is, of course, they'll call eyesight on the Subaru BRZ, but what would they call a similar technology on the Toyota 86? Well, they might call it like a unique version of Toyota Safety Sense, like Toyota Safety Sense 86 or something like that. That's unique to this car because no other Toyota is going to have this exact safety system. We could also see a Targa variant, which would bring more excitement, more thrill. If they make it a standard Targa, or at least a slight increase in price for a Targa where you can, or like a T-top or something like that, where you can remove the roof, that would bring so much more appeal to this vehicle. And Toyota kind of hinted at that with that concept just a few years back at the Tokyo Motor Show. So fingers crossed that they bring a Targa into the next BRZ and 86. Now we have heard tons and tons and tons of rumors about GRMN 86. Now the recent rumors are suggesting that the base model of the 86 is just called the GR86. But the top level of Toyota's products are called the GRMN, which is Gazoo Racing Master of Nürburgring. I know it's kind of a mouthful. And then what would Subaru do with the BRZ? Because it's got to have a mirror, right? Well, I think they would call it the BRZ STI, which I've talked about in previous videos. But what can we expect from a top-of-the-line, souped-up version of these vehicles? The engine, well, they keep the same engine, they just turbo it. We see that in like the Subaru Ascent, for example. And let's go over those horsepower and torque numbers that we see in the Subaru Ascent. We see 260 horsepower out of the force-induced version of that 2.4 liter FA24. That's a 20% increase from the naturally aspirated version in the base car of this. Now, what's more impressive than the horsepower is the torque. We're seeing 277 pound-feet of torque in the Subaru Ascent, which would be a 56% increase over the base, or I should say the naturally aspirated FA24. Pricing is just a guess, right? That is very speculative on my part, but I would like to see your guys' opinion on that as well. I think they charge $5,000 more for this turbocharged variant of the GRMN, and I don't expect this to be available at launch, maybe a year or two down the road, as they tune this turbocharged setup for the GRMN and the STI variant of this vehicle. And to put things in line here, so if the base price of this new BRZ/86 GRMN or STI is at $33,000, if we look at the current WRX, which has a little bit more horsepower, it is about $5,000 less at $27,500, give or take. And the Supra, now the Supra has 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, which is more torque than this setup. And it would be a little bit more punchy, and that's costing $40,000. If this car comes in at $33,000 with a manual transmission, which why wouldn't it? All BRZs and 86 of course have had at least the option for a manual. Of course they have an automatic as well, which no one likes, right? This will give you roughly the same performance as the Supra for a little bit less money, maybe $5,000 less money. That's just a guess, right? It's speculative at this point, but that would almost kill the Supra 2.0. And most people looking for these Japanese sport coupes would rather have a full Japanese vehicle rather than a joint venture Supra that is a conglomeration of BMW and Toyota. Well guys, I know that's a little bit of speculation, which this channel's pretty darn good for, but I want to see you guys in the comments on this. There's a lot of information here that is up for grabs. I want to see what you guys think about these engines and of course the turbocharged variant that we could see in that souped up STI and GRMN version of this vehicle. And with the rumors of the upcoming, let's say, GR Corolla, would this rear wheel drive 8.6 or BRZ really be that appealing to an all-wheel drive 255 horsepower turbocharged setup? I don't know if I see the viability of this amazing rear-wheel drive sport coupe. Yes, I would love to drive it, and in some ways it'd be more fun to drive than an all-wheel drive GR Corolla, but the practicality of a GR Corolla, it definitely wins, right? So it will be so interesting to see what Toyota and Subaru have up their sleeves with this vehicle. If all the things I talked about today and that from this article, if they happen to be true, I still don't know if it's good enough to overtake the incredibly hyped up hot hatch from Toyota, the GR Corolla. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can check out my Patreon or my PayPal. Head over to my Amazon page if you want to see model cars like this. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.